Dave Grohl, Celebrity Spotlight on how you should handle your money.
It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
So let me get this right. We're about to tell Dave Grohl how he should handle his money? Is that Dave, we'd be more than happy to work with you, brother.
Man, it would make my day if Dave Grohl actually sees this. No, seriously, what we're going to be talking about today is that we have done so many shows in the past where we've picked on athletes, celebrities, on how they're just horrible with their money. If you're taking your money advice from a celebrity, typically you're going down a path that you shouldn't be. I mean, so I think it's a good thing. I always look at life as glass half full, not half empty. So why not spotlight when somebody is actually doing it right? So, and everybody knows, if you don't know, if you're a money guy, part of the money guy family, I have kind of a definitely a man crush or a bro crush, whatever they call these things, on Dave Grohl.
Sure.
I have proof. I felt like, I feel like I'm turning into Carrot Top because I have props for these new shows. But this actually hangs in my office. If you came to our downtown Franklin office, you will see this is the Rolling Stone episode, magazine cover with Nirvana on it from the early 90s. Actual magazine. It's just I framed it. And you'll see Kurt Cobain, and then there's Dave Grohl. And here's what I like about this, though. Look at the magazine cover, or look at what his T-shirt.
I think it says, corporate magazines still suck while he's on the cover of a corporate magazine.
That epitomizes what was going on in the grunge scene, back in the 90s. But Dave Grohl is now being known for another reason. He's got 15 Grammys. He was, recently, he was up for another Grammy. I don't believe he won at the 2018 Grammys.
Right.
But here's the thing. Dave Grohl, between him and Chris Martin from Coldplay, is known as one of the nicest guys in music.
Okay.
And you see it when you go and look at the interviews, and he's not only a world-class drummer like he was for Nirvana, world-class songwriter and guitarist as he is for Foo Fighters, but he's also makes a lot of documentary movies as well. He's got, in case you haven't, if you're looking for something to go look at, Sound City was a great documentary on the soundboard that made a lot of the iconic albums of the 70s, 80s, 90s. And then he did Sonic Highways, which is where they went. It was an HBO series where they went all over the country recording albums in cities as well as giving their musical background. Really incredible stuff. But Dave is also known for something else. And at the end of the episode, I'm going to tell you how rich Dave Grohl is. But in comparison to other famous drummers in history. But before we get that, let's actually find out what is Dave doing with his money that makes him so unique. So there's several articles, and this is coming from a CNBC article that actually was published back in November of last year. Okay. You're only getting this because I'm a real Dave Grohl fan, so I know when they published it originally, it was back in November. They have repurposed this article on January 28th because he was up for a Grammy, or Foo Fighters was, so they took the exact same article, wrote one or two sentences to it, and called it a brand new article, even though it's not. But he was asked in an interview what he does with his cash. Mm-hmm. And he had said, it goes straight into my bank account where it turns all moldy and smelly. Now, of course, Dave's trying to be funny. But he obviously does have a propensity to save money, as you're going to find out in a minute when I talk about his net worth. And I think that that's a valuable thing. And he puts it as a top priority, is that he doesn't waste his time thinking, and this is his quote, "I don't waste my time thinking about how I can make more money when I already got enough. I'm not a banker. I'm a musician." This viewpoint carried over in his personal life as well. I drive a family car, not a monster SUV, but a family car that fits 5 people. I've got a house that's just big enough too. And I liked it, but it's not all practical because he's a big Tesla fan too. He does have a nice Tesla. He says it's impractical and the stupidest thing, but here's the part I want you to pay attention. Two quick points. He talks about a lot of his money skills comes from the fact that his mother had a stroke years ago. And when he came back from the hospital with his sister, they found out that what she had been working on was her taxes for the year. Okay. And that's where he realized that, and it left this incredible mark. This is his quote. It left an indelible mark on me that money will kill you, that people spend their lives dying inside because of money. And I think there's a lot to that. And then the last point, and you can see I wrote a ton of notes on this, because it inspired something in me, was that he says Nirvana was born out of love of music, not to make its members rich. And then Grohl also rejects the idea that coming from money and pursuing higher education is the only path to success. I never graduated school, and I never had enough money for college. So here's all the notes that I wrote down about this. We have done a vision planning episode where we talk about the passion and talent is actually what drives success. I think a lot of people, you hear about people that go to become doctors or lawyers because that's where the money goes.
Right.
I think that is not the path to success, is when you are driven by the carrot of wealth.
Okay.
I mean, if you're doing it, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be successful and to becoming financially independent. But if you let that be the thing that is solely driving what you're doing, it's not a purpose driven.
It's a side effect. It's not the purpose.
That's exactly right. And it's like you're psychic because we've been hanging out so long. I said money is a fruit of success.
Yeah.
It's not that you go after it with the complete purpose. You need to, and you say this all the time, Bo, you have to begin with the end in mind. What is the why of what you're doing? Right. Find your passion and make sure that you're world class. I have a podcast listener who's a prospect, and I've mentioned this on previous podcasts, that he has world-class kids, meaning that him and his wife, even though they're very successful, their children are very successful too. They're adult children, and that's a rarity. A lot of times in this new society, we hear about adult children just not having the same opportunities, not doing as well, failure to launch. This is the advice he gives, and I think it fits right into what Dave Grohl is talking about, is he tells every one of his kids, I don't care what you do in your life, but be world class at it. Make sure that it is something you're so passionate about it that you are in the top 5%. And his example was beauticians. You know, somebody who goes and becomes a barber or a beautician, if they are in the top 5%,
they're doing all right.
They're not only happy, they're purposeful, but they also probably are doing pretty good financially. And it's the same thing with what Dave Grohl talks about here, is that he loved music. I've seen, you're getting a little insight in, I've seen several of his interviews, including some interviews he's done with his mother on talk shows and so forth. And he talks about the fact that from a young age, I think it was around probably 5th, 6th grade, somewhere around there, where his grades were horrible, but it was because he could not get out of his own head that all he wanted to focus on was music, and getting better and better and better at it. He was honing his skills to be top 5% and world class in the world. So, here's the closing shots on this. Find what your purpose is. Know what your why is. What do you get so excited about that it's not just a hobby? It's something that you are driven to do, that it's something that just gets you excited to know that you're waking up in the morning and working on that, because the fruits of success will help you arrive to the end of where you want to be. And be smart about what that is. Now, there's some things I could want to be world-class shortstop for the Braves, but if you don't have the talent, you have to let the talent also drive this passion as well. And then lastly, as you are starting to be successful, as it is starting to happen for you because you are truly world-class and you start getting the fruit of being world-class and the money shows up, be smart with it. Yeah. Don't squander the opportunity. Start putting that money in the bank. Let it get moldy and smelly, as Dave puts it. And then I give this advice to you, Bo, because you've had success at a pretty relatively young age, doing much better than many in your peer class, both financially as well as in your net worth and other things. But I pick on you and I say, don't be so driven that you don't come up for air from time to time. Take a deep breath and enjoy the journey, because the truth of the matter is, the older I get, the more wisdom I have. The journey is what creates the fulfillment. A lot of people think the money is what creates the fulfillment. That is not where it is. That's just a fruit of success. It is the journey that's going to bring that nostalgia back to you, makes you feel like you're purposeful, as well as letting you look back and see the fun steps that occurred, the long path that occurred to be as successful as you possibly can.
That's awesome. So here's what I got from that. I was jotting down some notes as you were kind of talking. If you want to be a rock star with your finances, is that in there?
I like it.
There's a few things you can do to sort of imitate Dave Grohl. You can build cash, make sure you have your emergency fund in place. Focus on your strengths, those things that you're really good at. Recognize that money can kill you if you ignore it, or if you put too much attention to it. You know, have a reasonable expectation there. Find your passion, know your why, and be world class at that. Continue to always educate yourself and make sure that you enjoy the journey.
So, how world class is Dave Grohl? I have the list, and this is from the Atlanta Institute of Music and Media. And they update, I did some other research and confirmed these numbers, and it came pretty close.
So, I mean, he's a drummer. It's not like, it's not like he's the lead singer.
He's not only a drummer, and I'm going to go ahead and before I read the results of this, I liked what they put as the closing paragraph, and this is probably also a great summation of this. It says, a common theme between all these rich and famous musicians are that most of them play more than just the drums. They either play drums and guitar or also do a little singing or backup vocals. It's important to be diverse and well-rounded in the music industry. It can also help you land better gigs and be more successful. Man, is this not an echo of all the other skill sets and talents that we talk about on other shows? Diversification, as well as just pursuing what you're good at. I mean, because we talked, he makes documentaries, he sings, he songwrites, as well as drum and plays guitar. So how successful is he? He's not number one. He's number two on this list of most successful drummers with a net worth of $260 million.
Hold on, $260 million. So
over $250 million.
Holy cow.
If you want to know just top five, I'm not going to go through the whole top 10. He's only behind Ringo Starr from the Beatles. Yep. He's got a net worth of $300 million. I think Dave is going to catch him based upon all the things he's got going on. Phil Collins is number 3 with $250 million. Don Henley from the Eagles, $200 million. And then Lars from, of course, Metallica is right at $175 million. Pretty incredible if you look at what goes into being successful. So thanks for tuning in, Money Guy family. Go check us out, moneyguy.com. We love if you like this content. Dave, if you want to have a suit that is the nerdiest guy that could be a friend of yours, feel free to reach out.
Neither one of us wear suits.
Yeah, but Dave Grohl would classify me as a suit because
Dave,
of what I do. That's like a 70s, 80s term for, what, a hippie type person would call a nerdy person like us. So Dave, if you're looking for a nerdy hippie suit, well, I guess I got that too. Sooty type friend. Feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we love all of our listeners. If you like what you're seeing on our show, on the YouTube channel, on the podcast, take the relationship to the next level when you want to get a professional to help you with your finances. Go check us out, moneyguy.com, Abound Wealth. I'm your host, Brian Preston, with Mr. Bo Hansen. We'll talk to you soon.